from that, if you will see, as we go about the metaphors and what we discussed today, it will be intermingling, interchanging possibly with the Gita verses also that we will also be covering. So with that, we will commence today's proceedings. Vidya, you may have to put your headphone on. Om Shri Gurubhyo Paramagurubhyo Srimatananda Tirtha Bhagavat Padacharyobhyo Namo Namaha. Narayana Paripurna Gunarnavaya Visvodaya Stititolayan Niyati Prataya Jnana Prataya Vibhuda Sura Saukya Dukkha Satkaranaya Vibhudasura Satkaranaya Om Namo Namaste Yo Pilamba Pritamadi Prabodhan Vadanirasakatavan Bhuvidattvavadam Sarvesvaro Hariridi Patipatakam Tam Manandatirthamunivam Namami Pujjaya Rahavendraya Satyadharmarataya Cha Pajatam Kalpavrikshaya Namatam Kamadhenuvem Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Punaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahaihi Tejasvina Vadidamastuma Vishvidavahaihi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Welcome friends. I think this third Valli, in fact we have seen the first mantra and we have just made a cursory glance of the second mantra, because we will be seeing how it is answering lot of questions, otherwise we will be having it and all. See, one of the things last week we discussed about the how the cosmic vibration as individual vibration, how it gets into because even we were discussing the poem of Khalil Gibran the madam has sent because how it works in our context. Of course, what Khalil Gibran has done is a wonderful in terms of his own experiences. He's from Lebanon and then he had his own sort of a spiritual thoughts, as well as he has gone through the experiences in his life, the so profound experience based on which he has given. So likewise, because we have got so many other things that will also be answered. In fact, last week, one more sort of, the I could get, WhatsApp, perhaps, it came from one of our members only in this. The religion is rather restricting the person's growth, because that is what, it gives the boundaries in the sense, if you are ritual bound, you will be sort of a squared up, because in those days earlier when the hippie culture was coming, they were calling all others as squares, because you are trying to conform to certain way of living, you are trying to live, you are not able to express your natural propensity and natural way of living as it is. You are confining yourself, you are restricting yourself. But whereas the hippies, they thought, they are an unrestricted sort of opening for them. They could do anything, whatever they want. That is how that culture came, way back in 1960. In fact, there is a very famous book. I think some of us might have had the occasion to read something called Height Report, HITE report. Because on Height, he just wrote on, because how this culture was getting into a big way, amongst the youth, especially in the baby boomers, in US as they call it, as well as it spread to other parts of the world. In fact, latest, there is a report which says, how these people, who embrace the hippie culture, what they are now, how they are feeling and how they have come about and all. It will be surprised to know most of them have gone from what they called others as squares. They have become very squares in the sense, because we were all misled at that point of time by our thoughts. We thought, freedom is whatever you can do. That is not the freedom. The freedom is when you are able to enjoy every moment, add a value to that, when you realize your own value. So that is the freedom. So freedom means when you are able to realize your own value at every moment and every point of time, and then you are also able to your own matrix. You try to live up to your own matrix. That is the freedom, they say. The same concept has changed, over a period of 4 to 5 decades, because that is a human way of, because human beings have got a tendency to enjoy the moment, when it comes to which is pleasurable at that point of time, enjoyable point of time. But it may go off, it may be transitory, ephemeral. But then, at least you should not lose that moment. That's how the propensity to go through the experience of the world comes to most of us. But now it is totally different. See, now one of the things, because when we say the religion has got a boundaries, whereas spirituality doesn't have the boundaries. It is cutting across, across the world, entire human beings, and not only human beings, even the other inanimate and insentient things also. Once you have to give respect to other beings, other creatures in this world, even the other plants and flora and fauna, then you become a part of it, because you give respect. And you also get the respect from them, because that is because the climate also cooperates with you, and so is the flora and fauna cooperates with you. You don't get into all these, the natural calamities that is taking place. It's not there, it's all understood. But then, are we able to live like that? Because every time the human being, they are trying to find some way of improving their life. What we call improvement in the life, basically we are decelerating our own experience in a negative way. Because we try to what we call the comfort, because we takes away the faculty. For instance, our own inborn faculties, which is internal to us, which is God-given faculties, are taken away. For instance, even a small, the calculator has taken away the capacity of a mensuration of a lot of people who otherwise could have done very easily. I've seen people, in the banks, rather seeing, the figures of about 9 digits or 11 digits of pages and pages just like that, without any calculator and all, way back in 70s. But same capacity is not there, because we have given up our capacity. We have surrendered our capacity. So when we have surrendered our capacity, when you are giving up our ability, because the ability to grow doesn't take place. The Adhyatma is also like that. We don't know our own ability. Because like Hanuman, when he was trying to find out, whether he can really cross the sea, at the point, near Rameshwaram, the point, if you can go and see, from where, he is taken off to Lanka. It is Jambavan who had to remind him, look, you are capable, you have to do that. Because like Jambavan, the Adhyatma is the one, which reminds us that we are capable of so many things which we are not attempting at. Because we have got our own self-doubt. So once you come into the Adhyatma, the self-doubt will vanish. In the same time, one more thing that will happen is religion need not necessarily have to be a boundary oriented. Because that is how Vivekananda brought about it. Vivekananda, when he brought about it, your religion is inborn even in your womb. From the womb itself, you choose your religion. In the sense, when you are able to respect the other creatures, when you are able to respect other humanities, which is inborn, because the innocence is there. But we have losing the innocence over a period of time while living in this world. Having lost that, we have created our own boundaries, and because by being ritual oriented, because we think, because when you are doing the ritual, if you are not able to fully involve yourself and you are able to give yourself, because you think, that will help you. But rituals are only a means or modes just to discipline yourself. It is not the be all and end all of everything in that. You don't have to do any ritual whatsoever if you have got to be religious and spiritual. The religions have prescribed, because that is how you are able to slowly elevate, step by step as you are living in this world. So the religion need not be, but religion religion helps you to hold on to a sort of a faith, because the faith need not necessarily be a pejorated word. Faith is necessary because of the faith you are able to have the self-confidence. If you are not able to have the self-confidence because of the faith, then you have failed in your religion or your religious practices. The faith will have to ingrain this sort of self-confidence. With the self-confidence, from it stems the love for others, because you don't have any sort of insecurity with you. When you don't have an insecurity with you, you are not bothered about others, because what is likely to happen to you by sort of interacting with certain people, by doing certain things. You don't have any of those sort of fears or not. Nirbhayatvam, when we say, in Sanatana Dharma, it is absolute fearlessness. It is not that fear of, your own phobias or your own sort of premeditated thought. Most of our phobias are based on premeditated thought, because you see something happens to someone and you are able to sort of, you assume if it happens to me, what? So that's why in Patanjali Yoga Sutra, they say it is kleshas. This kleshas is the sort of unfounded fear, as to what may happen to me if I do this, if I embark upon this and that. So that need not be there, once you have the faith, there is always, you are capable of, driving yourself through the life, as well as you have got someone, who is going to help you. That faith helps you, Because the faith is finally the Adhar, what they call it. It is the fold by which you are able to get the self-confidence. Because of the self-confidence, you are able to put your faith on others as reasonably as possible, because you get the capacity to get the intuition how to do. Because intuition doesn't come by all your scriptural learnings and all. It is coming by your Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, continuous reflection as to what happens in this and all. So therefore, in a religion as such, it has got a purpose. That's why in the Rig Veda, when we said Ekam Sat Vipra Bhuta Vadanti, in the sense there is only one truth. All the religions try to find, because variety of ways to attain the truth. Because their way may be good, because it may not appeal to me because I have been brought up in a particular way. You see, the Abrahamic religion, the base is same, but the three type of religions have come. Because Judaism, Jews have come out of that, Zionists have come out of that, Christianity has come out of that, even Islam has taken, from the Abrahamic work only. So when they have got different paths, because the masters who have embarked upon that, they found the way, that is the way they said. Because that what they showed us, because you yourself can do that. When you are not able to do, you can follow that by which you can get it. It doesn't mean, that is the way you have to be totally so rigid about your thinking and all, because you have to constantly reflect what you are doing. Does it have any meaning? Does it have any add value to your life? Does it give you some sort of confidence? Because you should clear away, because you will not have any doubts whatsoever in doing the things. More you have doubts, even a small thing which you can very easily, efficiently do, you will not be able to do. The doubt is the biggest sort of enemy to every one of us, because we always think, he did it, he had a problem. Last time I did it, I had a problem and all. But once you embark, once you go with a full faith, the faith in something, which you are believing, finally gives the faith in yourself. That's how the self-confidence comes. Once you can get the self-confidence, then you are not afraid of anyone else, because you put the faith, or you are not bothered about what is happening around. You are able to go through this. This is exactly for the mantra 2, when we were going through. I'll just recite the mantra for a sake, and we will cover, because though we had a cursory coverage, we'll go through, and next mantra is going to be the sort of taking you at a higher plane, so that, we will have to prepare ourselves, while reciting this. It is in your page 68 of the document I have sent. Yaha setur yi jananam aksharam brahmayetu param. Because here, setu, because it is setu is, we know it is a bridge. Normally, in Sanskrit, setu is the word which is used, is called bridge. Whereas here setu is called, it is a frontier, it's a boundary. It is a sort of a big dam is holding the water, it is that, it is keeping you there. It is bringing you to that, because once you are there, you will be able to embark. Like the sea is the boundary. Once you reach the seashore, you will not be able to deal with the seashore and the sea unless you are able to cross the sea, or you find a way to deal with the sea, because I think walk across the bridge or go through some boat or some barge, how you can cross over, you can do that. It is the boundary. Once you have reached the boundary, once you are taking the steps to go to the boundary and think of, how am I to reach the other shore, that is what it is called setu. While it is a bridge, in the sense, a bridge is from where we are now and how we are going to get across to the other shore. That is the bridge. We call it that the path. The process is the bridge. It is not the bridge per se as it is. Embarking upon that process or path, that is the bridge. Ye jananam aksharam, in the sense yaj. Ye jananam has come from a Sanskrit word yaj. Yaj is a yajna. Yajna is nothing but sacrifice. When we say yoga, yaga, yajna, when they say, it is a sacrifice. Sacrifice is giving up, not losing anything, giving up. Giving up, whatever, we have got, which is coming as an impediment in our growth, we are giving up. So, ye jananam aksharam. Aksharam is the final, because what you call as the Brahman, the highest power, or the life force who is there, because what you call is aksharam. In fact, aksharam, is finally denoted, because in most of our philosophies, it is being taken as, by the highest power, be it Narayana, they call it. Narayana is a concept, basically. It is not a Shiva, it's Shaivites also, because even Shankaracharya invokes Narayana. In his Gita Bhashya, in the very first mantra, he says, not only that it's magnum opus, because Vivek Chudamani also, he says, Narayana, in the sense, Ra in the sense there is no blemish, is full, because Nara, when he has to attain the highest, Ayana is the highest sort of the goal for him. That is Narayana. Narayana, in fact, you can give the color of Vishnu and with all his four hands, Chanka Chakra, Gada Padma, and all those things. But Narayana, in the concept wise, it is the highest goal anyone can enter. That is how in Sankara Bhashya, everywhere Narayana is invoked. Even in Mahabharata, first mantra is Narayana only, Vyasa writes. So it is the concept that in Aksharam, in the sense Brahmayat Param. Brahmayat, once you are trying to embark upon this, you know you will reach the other shore of fearlessness. Fearlessness, you don't have any fear whatsoever. You don't have any sort of a deficiency in you. You don't fear, I am lacking this. There is no question of any lackiness, and there is no question of any fear, in dealing with the world. So once you got that, that is the highest power that we can attain, at the point of, once you got the Narayana, the Param Brahma, when they say, Param is the other shore. And Abhayam Tirtishtam. Abhayam is in the sense, you will not have any fear. Abhayam in the sense, he gives the refuge to you. Once you reach the frontiers, and so once you reach the once you reach the see the end of it, once you reach once you have to cross, and once you reach the boundary of your human thought, the body, mind, and intellect has to transcend over that. That is what it is called, that Abhayam. Once you call that Tirtishatam, Tirtishatam in the sense, it is one who is willing to, one who has trained his mind by Shravana, Manana, and Nidhyasana. See, normally it doesn't come. So we may be hearing so many people, we may be reading so many things, we may be, but the inclination to get into, to know, to change ourselves. Tirtishram, the one who has embarked upon changing himself, in the sense, trying to find his own internal journey. Internal journey, there is no goal, there is no end. It takes you, it is a continuous journey. It takes you, it's a sort of an endless, because there is no destination. You can go as much as possible to elevate yourself. Once you are able to elevate yourself, you become such a wonderful being, because you become a sort of a guide to so many people and all. So that capacity is there within the Tirtishatam. Once you have embarked upon your internal journey, Adhyatma, Tirtishatam, Param Nachiketa Shokameke. Because once you are in, then you will be able to cross. How will you be able to cross? Nachiketam, in the sense, Nachiketa fire we have discussed. The one who is responsible for the Nachiketa fire to give that power, that is the ultimate, the Brahman. He gives Nachiketam Shakemahi, because he is able to give you once you are able to reach that shore. This is what in a sense it says, you embark upon journey. The first Valli and second Valli, they talked about, because how you can get into the practices of, the self-development, whether it is called Nachiketa fire. And in the second chapter, we talked about Shreyas and Prayas, because at every point of time, we are always being bombarded with the two options. You have to choose one option. The easiest option is one is pleasurable at the moment, but once you think, once you are able to reflect, once you are able to apply your intellect of discrimination, intellect is nothing but, buddhi is nothing but ability in the power of discrimination. The ability of discrimination is there in the human being only as of now. Because that's why, because animals, they go by the instinct. Whatever, their mind says, they do it. They are not able to take it. But in spite of the fact, it has been observed, some of the animals, over a period of time, they have developed the instinct and they have developed the discrimination. Like you can see, a lot of the animals, they try to help human beings. And we have seen, in a lot of animals, they give the right warning to the human beings at the right point of time, whenever some disaster is supposed to take place. It all happens. It all happens because they are elevating, they have gone up to the level. But whereas human beings have been given the inherent capacity to discriminate, are you able to access that? See, when you are able to do everything, which is sort of pleasurable to you and your senses, but are you able to apply the discrimination? For instance, when you go to the office, you work, because when even if the work is not sort of attractive to you, you don't enjoy the work, you try to do whatever you have to, you discipline yourself. Then intellect says, you can't be as free as you are in the house. Because when you are watching TV, you will be squatting, you will be doing, but whereas in office, you follow certain procedures and principles. So that happens, because we know, how to discipline ourselves with the value, how what we have to do and how to do, the ability to discriminate, how to behave in a particular way, how to act in a particular way, it gives when you are able to access that. So we are able to access when it is necessity for us, when it is a must for us, when it's sort of a Hobson's choice, when it's no other way we access that. But when we don't have to access, we can indulge in whatever we don't access that. Because, always, the lethargy comes in. Lethargy in the sense, because come on, how long, you can go on sort of restraining yourself, constraining yourself. There are so many things available. Once in a while, you can go. Once in a while, become a habit, and finally you get into sort of into your sort of DNA, and you are not able to come out of that. That's how addiction takes place. Everything takes place in that. So this is basically, once you are able to exercise and the ability is there and all, you are able to access that. Children, because they are able to exercise the discrimination because they know they do the right thing as the mind tells them. At the same time, they don't indulge even if the parents want them to indulge. The parents want them to take to a restaurant. They want to tell them, but the child doesn't want it. The child doesn't want the milk to be taken. Even the parents force the child to take the milk. But if it has been found that milk is not so necessary for the child, because in fact it gives its additional problem. That's what one of the studies says. So they are able to do, because whatever that they are able to access to their discriminating power and they are able to do, they are doing it innocently. But slowly we bring the practical value and take away the power of discrimination over a period of time by living in this world. To access the power of discrimination, again we are getting into Adhyatma. That is how innocent lost during the course of the living and innocent to be regained. That is what we are going by this entire exercise. So therefore, how, what is that, all this, you surrender, you cross the boundaries and you get into the other side. What does it mean? It is always, you get into a mode of getting yourself into the surrender to some power and to your own self. First, surrender yourself to you, because when you say, when you got the ability to, because you are not always able to do what your intellect says. Because sometimes your intellect says, let's not get into this. But you overpower the intellect and do it, because look, at this point of time, there's no point, let me do it. I am in a place. Even I am not supposed to be taking the sugary things, because if someone asks for a sweet, I just, because I take away my discriminating power, to the other side and say, let me have it once. What happens? Because let me take, one more tablet later. So that happens, because finally I am the one, who has to face the consequences, and then I will have to do that. It is not necessary, that you will have to be always, sort of a self, because self-suffering and all. You don't have to do that, because once you know it is that, you can ward it off, and as well you can do so many other things. There are other alternatives are there. You can take it and all. But basically, the indulgence comes. This is what easy for the senses. So once it is easy for the senses, then mind says to do that and all. When the mind says to do that, the intellect, even if it is having a discriminating power, the mind just sets it aside. It doesn't listen. Our problem is our mind doesn't listen to the intellect whenever, it is having the power of discrimination and giving you the right advice. In our life, most of the things, if you see, that is that. But is it that, intellect will always give you the right decision, the right discriminating power? Yes, it can certainly give, because intellect gets the ability only when you are able to reflect upon yourself. Till then, intellect, becomes dormant. The intellect is based on whatever information you gather. But again, you will have a whole lot of database with you. But it's the application of the database which is important. That application of the database comes only by reflection. That is why, hearing and, the constant reflection on the same thing, that gives the ability to discriminate, and that ability to discriminate comes in the form of intuition. The intuition, when it tells you, it guides you to the right place and the right way to do it. So that is what exactly, it has done. So therefore, in this case, what it says is, basically once you know, because as we have seen in the last mantra of last Valli, the whole world is a dining table. We are all the side dish as long as we have not evolved. But those who have evolved and who apparently they become the main dish, for the highest power in the sense, because you got into the same wavelength, because what you have got, the highest power, the ability of the discriminating power is the highest power. The God has got the highest discriminating power, and He is giving you that power. As well as to get that power, you need His grace. That is how you are getting into that. More you are able to reflect upon yourself, you are capable of getting that intuition and the discriminating power that will give it to you, and that will give you the concept of what you can call, you got someone with you always. The surrender is nothing but, you got a person, who is by your side always, and he is taking it to you. So in that process, what happens? You are losing your ego. That is, you are trying to sort of underplay your ego. That is I. Till such time you don't have this attitude, that is someone with you. It is always that I bothers you. I am suffering, because I have done this. I could have done it better. I should have studied better. I could have, sat for that exam. I could have all these things. All the I will go on bothering. And what this I will, what will happen finally? You don't accept whatever has happened to you. Even whatever has happened to you, which is a glorious thing, that also you don't accept. You think, that is by virtue of your own effort. But something untoward has happened, then you say, because it has happened because, I have not been given that grace. I have not got it, because no one has helped me. Because I try to find a blame in others, I try to blame in so many other things, in which, the circumstances in which you are put in, all those things happen. It becomes a sort of a constant, sort of, the road for generating thoughts, negative thoughts, and that gets into you. You are not able to get into the proper mode of living in this life. To get the proper mode of living in this life, it is simple. Once you understand, this is what it is. Once you are able to live like this, it is sort of a child's play. Once you are getting into, because with every time, constantly, just reflect, once in a while, when you are into the crossroads, am I to do it? What will happen? Assuming even the consequences is negative, try to consider the consequences. And the negative consequences are there, because then it is, they let me better desist from doing it. If the positive consequences are there, let me try to do it. Even something comes, I should be able to deal with it, because you will not be able to always forecast as to what is going to happen in this world. Because the world is Jagrati, because it is changing constantly. It is not having the linear dimension based on your experiences. A linear dimension, in which, it's all taking place in that. So therefore, to that extent, you can always find a way out, and that helps you. That intuition, once it comes to, then you will slowly find, a change in yourself. Every time the negative thought comes, you will be able to sort of throw it out. You will not be giving any regard to that. That is what the meditation helps. Meditation helps if the unwanted thoughts will certainly be coming, along with the positive thoughts also. These thoughts, you will set aside. So once you set aside, because you will be able to focus on the art of possibility and the art, where it will take you to the highest level. So this is what in the mantra number 2 said, because here when you are taking surrender in this, there are two concepts. When the surrender is, when you say finally you have to become the oneness, as the madam has sent in the Khalil Gibran, that entire verse says, the sea and the river is getting into the sea, and it is looking back, to the wonderful ways in it came through. Finally, it trembles with fear, to get into the sea. That's what, it happens. But you have to lose its identity itself once you get into the sea. But by constant reflection, you will be enjoying that, because you will be getting into that final, the way you become one with the cosmic, the entire vibration. From individual vibration, limited vibration, you are going into the infinite vibration. Once you are going into that, how it happens is constantly it is being said. So like a needle, because the needle hole, through the needle hole, 100 petals of lotus can pass through without getting all the petals will be intact. You will get through that. That is what they say. It is like a sublimation of camphor. The camphor, when it sublimates, it doesn't leave any trace behind it. You will be able to get into that. So once you are able to, once you lose yourself into that, because That is the highest level. But because before losing yourself, the surrender is the one. In the normal, when we are living in this world, the surrender helps you to take care of your own unwanted fears, unwanted negative thoughts. This is what this mantra was telling, and basically it was telling, when you are doing everything, you do with whatever, the excellence you can give it, whatever attention you can give it, mindfulness that you can give it, that helps you to live through the world. As you live through the world, slowly, I think, you will find, yourself into the mode where none of these things, when you are going to do, will not matter much. Because what you are doing is doing as a matter of practice. Once you are doing the practice, it is jatam, you will not be thinking twice, when you have to do something, and you will not be trying to embark upon something, which is unwanted and all. Automatically it takes place. So that takes place, that comes by the constant, this mantra, what they have said. We have come into the first one, because how two aspects of the gods are there, and the two aspects of the god, like two sides of the coin. The coin on one side will not be able to see the other. But once you know the other side is always there to guide you, so then it takes you to the. This is what the mantra said. Then now we will be going into the most important sort of a metaphor in the Kathopanishad. And that metaphor, what we call the chariot metaphor, it is also covered in the Gita. And this is most important metaphor. It's not only in our religion, even other religions also, they have taken this metaphor to explain some of the concepts of highest elevation of the human being. For the purpose they have come into this world. So this mantra number, it is there, in your page 69. This is the chariot metaphor. You will see, the heading itself is given. It has got through mantras 1.3.3 and we have got 1.3.4. So 1.3.3, because both the mantras have been dealt together in this, but we will be dealing separately. And we will be also giving, because it has got a combined effect. Because when you read through both the mantras, you will have the wonderful concept, that will come into our, because entire our understanding. That has given all the scriptures, particularly in our scriptures, it is highlighted in all the Gita also, it is highlighted. So is in Kathopanishad, and in the other Upanishads also, same concept has been reflected in a different way. See, the chariot metaphor is like that. Atmanam ratitam viddhi shariram ratamevacha. Atmanam ratitam viddhi shariram ratamevacha. The Atma, the soul, is the one who is riding the chariot, who is seated in the chariot. The body is shariram ratamyevacha. The entire body is, you might have heard this metaphor, but it does have a very, very sort of a deep meaning that we will see that. Shariram ratamyevacha. The entire body is like a chariot. It is a chariot. And the jiva, what you call the jiva, is seated in this, or soul. The soul is seated in the ratha. Buddhi tu sarati, viddhi manaha pragrahamevacha. You see, buddhi tu sarati, viddhi pragrahamevacha, in the sense, know the intellect as the chariot. The intellect in the sense power, buddhi in the sense power to discriminate. Buddha is called Buddha. Why? He is the highly evolved buddhi. Yeah, understand the discriminating power which is highlighted. Buddha, because in Sanskrit there is a word that is, one is who is highly evolved. It's a discriminating power, the chetna, because he is able to do the highest level, he doesn't have anything, to required for that, automatically it discriminates and he knows, what is right and what is wrong. That is called buddhim. Buddhim to saratim. Viddhi manaha. Viddhi manaha in the sense, because as a charioteer, and the mind is having the brittle on the senses. The mind is the one which is, the Sharati is the intellect, and the mind is the one who is the bridle to all the senses, which is connected to all the senses. All the senses communicate to the mind. When the eye sees something which is attractive, look, I can have this ice cream, it communicates to the mind. The mind says yes, because yes, the mind, just it gets the information. It doesn't have the discriminating power. The ear hears something, you want to hear, something, cinema song, and you want to go to that movie, it says that. So the mouth, because when all the senses give you that input, it is the mind who takes the input and you gives it the propensity to act. It is the bridle. through which all the five horses, all the five senses are considered to be five horses, and they are the one who is having the bridle and communicate to the mind. But what they are communicating is it rightly so and all because all the senses have got the capacity, not per se the senses. For instance, you may have a ear, but you may not, you may be hard of hearing. What has happens? Because the software that is making you to hear, there is some problem in that. When you are able to see, sometimes if you have a cataract, you are not able to see properly. Once you have got the surgery done, you are able to. But certain things still not as clear as possible and all. Because again, the software that is controlling this. That is why because in the Upanishad, Kena prana pranati paitinga keneshitam patati preshitam manaha, in the sense because how this what you are seeing is not the real power, the one who makes you to see, that software, the software in the Sushma Sarira, the software that is make you to hear, it is only an instrument, but then it has to, software has to work for you to get the full vibe, all the words, all the sort of the syllables rightly into your ear. So that software has to function. Likewise, the mind, because mind is got that, but the software makes you to discriminate. That is intellect. The software is the one which is guiding you to what to do and all. So therefore, the owner is the jiva, the individual soul, who rides the chariot. The chariot is the physical body. All the body is the flesh and the blood. This is the physical body. The charioteer is the intellect, because he is the one who is finally, because supposing if the charioteer is dormant, he is not involving himself, nor the mind bothers to get the idea or the advice from the intellect, all the five horses will go in different directions. You will not be able to go through the journey. Forget about the destination. Your chariot will not be taken. All the two wheels will not be in sync. You will not be able to do that. And the brain, bridle and the reins, the mind, because the bridle which connects to all the senses, it is only communicates. It doesn't have any power of discrimination, only through the intellect. Intellect is being developed only when you get into the Adhyatma journey. The intellect, the highest level, is called, because in fact the self, what they call in Advaita, the one, who is, you are doing Paramarthika self, where you reach the highest self of yours, that is the intellect at the highest level. What we call Buddha, because the highest elevated Buddhi is the Buddha. Likewise, that is what is required. So then mind only acts based on, whatever information it says. If it is not having the benefit of the advice from the intellect, the senses will go haywire. They will go in all directions. You will not be able to get through. This is the, they have given to understand. The horses are the senses. The senses, because they are the horses, they are waiting to run in different directions as they are. Because the eye want to see, what it is pleasant to see. The ear want to hear, what it want to hear. And everything, because all your organs want to do, whatever is pleasurable at the point of time, praise. You are not sort of, the guided by any discriminating power to be a shreyas. So this is what finally happens. The horses are, you will not be able to hold the horses. If you are not able to hold the horses, you will not be able to embark upon the journey properly. You will not be able to go through the roads. The roads are the one in your experiences in this world. All the sense objects, wherever they are taking, the intelligence, what is available in this world, they are the road. Unless you cross the road, you will not be able to reach the destination. So even if you are able to put the horses, because in control, if they are taking to the same road, you will have to cross the road. For to crossing the road, intellect has to give you the discriminating power. There is an undulation, there is a ditch here, and you will have to take a right turn here. The road goes this way. You will have to go like that, and you should not turn left on the other side. Likewise, it gives the intellectual gives you the discriminating power so that you are able to go through the journey of the life so wonderfully. Otherwise, you will not be, you will always be, because juggling here and there, you will say, because I am stuck here. When people feel they are stuck in a particular point of time, in their life, either in the position or in the sort of, they are not able to do anything and all. That is where, they are not able to have a control on their senses. their ability to discriminate comes to a stop, because they have not gone about, reflecting upon themselves. You may be a great scholar, you may be a sort of outstanding scientist, or you may be a sort of a professor who knows so many things and all. In all these cases, unless you have the ability to discriminate, that is intuition when you are able to get at the right time. The intuition will come because of the power of the discriminating power. And the power of the discrimination and the intuition will come because of the grace. The grace comes unless we are able to get into embark upon your reflection. Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana, constant the regurgitation and the reflection that comes, then you are able to get that. So that is not only that, in every experience, when it happens, you should not get bogged down by the experience, but you should know what you learned from that experience. Experience is not going to remain. It comes and goes. Whether good or bad, if you have suffered, you have suffered. If you have got some benefit out of that, you have got. Otherwise, it was wonderful for you at that point of time. It has come and gone. But it's not going to come continuously. There is no question of always, ever after, you will be happy, or ever after you will be suffering. Both are not there. It is only it takes place. So to understand that, what to do, because the enjoyer, the conditioned self-associated body, when you say enjoyer and all, what it happens, when you take the journey, you always think, you are taking the journey and you are going through that. It is the grace and the discriminating power that comes through the intellect that helps you to take. So once you have the understanding, you will be giving more importance to your power of discrimination and intellect, because you are not the doer, which we have already seen. Why you are not the doer? You have come into this world because of your sort of you will have to exhaust all of your prarabdha karmas in this world, because for that you have been given an opportunity to come here and exhaust your prarabdha karmas. Once you come here and exhaust your prarabdha karmas, what you are trying to do is, you don't want to accumulate anymore. As well, you want to pleasantly go through this experience to add value to that, because come into this world is not to live through like any other being without Chetana, because all, the animals or flora or fauna, they are also having it. But they are having within their limited scope. They don't go out of the scope. But you have got the ability to go out of your scope. Therefore, because more you sort of put rein on your intellect and develop the discriminating power and learn from the experiences, whatever it has happened to you, not getting bogged down by that, you will be able to undertake the journey. So the grace of the God, when it comes, the surrender is the one which is way for getting the grace of the God. And giving up the ego is because once you take out the ego, it will be filled with the grace of the God, because you become, because once you take away, I, and naturally, your view will be in a sort of a cosmic, in the sense, generic view, because sarve bhavantu sukhinaha, when we say, it's not only you want to be happy and you want to be enjoying, you want others, who are associated with you, who are interacting with you, also should get into that mode. So therefore, at that point of time, you become a very evolved human being. And you can still evolve. It is, the potential is still higher. We all become much better human beings than what we are once we understand. It is only the entire body is only a chariot, and the senses are the horses that is driving it, and they're taking it everywhere and all. The mind, the bridle, because which is holding, horses and all. It can only go by whatever senses take. It has to manage 5 horses. Each one will go in a different direction. The discriminating power, the intellect, which is there with the soul by the side, which guides us, that only will take us to the right. For that, we will have to get into the whatever, the internal reflection or adhyatma, what you call it. So then you get into that, more you get the grace. You will not be taken in only by the senses. If you are going to live in this world, come what may, the Charavaka philosophy and all, you will be allowing the horses to run amok the way, whatever they want to do. And finally, what will happen is, finally what you have ended, because you ended up, with nothing, because you have come here, you have lived through, you were happy sometimes, you suffered, finally you go and all. What is that finally, because in our Sanatana Dharma, since we believe in reincarnation, all your experiences, good and bad, all your ability to discriminate, they are all coming, the birth after the birth, it comes. even though it is not accepted directly, in the Western philosophy, there is also a different sort of a concept there. In fact, because we will be talking further about it, there is in Plato, the same, the chariot metaphor has been used in Greek philosophy also. The chariot metaphor has been written by Plato in one of his books, where he has talked about the Republic, where he had talked about the Socrates teachings and all. He has brought this chariot metaphor also. He has brought it in a different with a different connotation and different aspect of it, so that it appeals to the mind, because the Western philosophy looks into the development of the being, to live in this world and as well see, how best it can evolve. Same thing, but the reincarnation concept as it is not there. We have got the concept of reincarnation because the jiva is eternal. It is there forever, because you are not going to, once the body leaves, you are going to be still there, because you are going to be meant for, you are sort of a design for further experience, maybe very elevated experience. Maybe you are going to be something much bigger than what you are. You are going to get the highest knowledge. Everything is there in them. Because in Plato's that one, what he says, that the concept in it, the Phaedrus is one of the disciples of Socrates. It is a dialogue between Socrates and Phaedrus, which has been recorded by Plato in this book. I'll briefly say, because it also got a concept to be taken out of that. And he said there are two horses. One is dark, and it is lame, it has got all the deformities. It has got a grey eye. It is sort of a impetuous. It wants to go everywhere. And other one is white horse. This is mortal, the black horse. The other one is immortal. Both of them have got the wings. They can let fly into the entire, the firmament, the sky. The other one is perfect, and it knows, because how to sort of get the best out of that, and it has got the spiritedness, divinity in it, that white horse. But both of them, this is impetuous, uncontrollable, and it is the divine, and it has got all the aspects, that will guiding to the being to take up to the highest level. And the person who is sitting in the soul, is trying to drive down the chariot with two sort of disparate horses, disjointed horses. You cannot manage. One is taking to the other side and one is taking to that. So in their Phaedrus concept is, in the Socrates concept is, you will be, once you are able to control, sync both the horses, you will be able to reach the ridge of heaven. When you are going to you will be able to have a sort of a first glance of the heaven, what it is. And you will be joining, all the Greek concept. Zeus is the one of the one who drives the entire chariot, the procession of the all the gods, the demigods and gods, and he leads the procession. You will be joining that procession. That is the concept. But if you are not able to control, you will fall, because the dark horse brings you down to the earth, the white horse takes you to the ridge of the heaven. You will only be vacillating and wobbling. Finally, because every time you come, the black horse brings you down. It is the depth to which, you are coming down that reflects, the position you are in. You are still to evolve. You will be in the dumps. Then finally you will have to evolve. And finally, in the white horse, because when you are able to manage and sync, then you will be able to go through. The idea is, it is not that senses are bad. The senses, through which senses only you are getting the experience in this world. The senses should be under control. The mind alone can't control. Mind only gets the information. The mind has to be controlled. The mind is the software for the brain. So that brain has to be controlled by the super software, that is the intellect, that is the discrimination. That power, the intellect, because maybe called Paramatma, and the mind, because which is being able to do that, because it's part of the Jivatma, because it goes by what the senses say. But the senses also can be controlled by its own, the practice of the mind. That is why in one of the Gita, I will quote the verse next week. Arjuna asks, what is that? My mind is so uncontrollable. You are asking me to do Shravana, Manana, Nitidhyasana and get into all this reflection, intuition and all. Sab hamara bas ka baat nahi hai. Why, how am I to do it? Because you are telling, I agree, because that is the way. But how am I to do it? I will tell that particular mantra in the 6th chapter. He said, because, okay, he agrees. And Krishna agrees, absolutely agrees. Kaunteya, what you are telling is absolutely true. The mind is, and the senses mind or such a thing, because you will not be able to have the full control, though it is being said and all. It is only by abhyasa. Another word used to in vairagya. Vairagya in the sense steadfastness to hold on. Steadfastness to hold on. How we can have this vairagya? And vairagya is a word very sort of used in Sanskrit to bring about the self-restraint and the development and all. But it need not necessarily be self-restraint. If you go to all the Sai Baba temple, you will be able to see the two words written are those things. Sai Baba temples are dime a dozen everywhere, every corner in them. One is Shraddha, another is Saburi. Shraddha is the full-fledged attention, concentration, and just focusing only on that focus, mindfulness and nothing else. You will not be weaned away with it. That Shraddha becomes. Shraddha in our own action. When I take food, I should have the Shraddha to enjoy each item I should enjoy. That Shraddha is required when I take food. When I'm able to, because they deal with something and all, I should have the full Shraddha, give attention to it. I should not be going by someone has given me, some WhatsApp has come, this is how you have to do it. I will have to apply myself, my Shraddha. So I have to focus and my mindfulness will have to be there. That will give me the ability to discriminate. And Saburi is a word. I think, in Maharashtrian, it is such a wonderful word. In Sanskrit, you can use 2 or 3 terms to titiksha, in the sense you should be able to face any obstruction that comes in. At the same time, it tells the patience. You can't expect, because I have done this, because I have done 1 month, I have been asked to do, I think, at the end of the month, I should get no. Unless you are eligible, unless, you are fully fit, you will not be getting the gift, what you have assigned yourself by the grace of the God, by your own efforts. No one needs to give you. You will get it. You are bound to get it. It is birthright to get it, but you will get only when you are eligible to get it. When you sort of put yourself into a particular frame, then only you will be able to get it. This entire, the mantra, what it says is you bring about yourself into this, finally have the ability of a discrimination, then you will be able to do it. Same thing in Greek philosophy also says, you will be wobbling, because coming to the earth and going into the down dumps, once you are able to hit the sink, when you are able to control the black horse also, because both the horses are required to drive the chariot. It is not, senses are required to drive the chariot. But then you will have to control the senses. The mind is difficult to control, then intellect will have to come into play. We will also see one more quote from Gita. The mind is superior to senses. The intellect is superior to mind. The soul is superior to intellect. It says, because the gradation. Because why they will, unless you are superior, you are a manager, you will not be able to control. Therefore, all are required. Yeah. Organization needs the workers. The organization needs the managers. Organization needs the sort of executive heads. It needs the directors. It needs the board. It needs the chairman. Everyone is there. Likewise, our body is also having the assemblage of all these things that is needed to guide us through this entire life. It is there, and we will be seeing a little more into this particular mantra. We have covered in, but it has got because how the gradation is there. It is given in Gita, not in this. As well as this next mantra 1.3.4 explains the same concept in a different way, and they will give us sort of a essence of entire living in this life. Next week we will see this. With this, I will try to conclude today's session, and we will be having one small suktam, because I have taken up, lined up a suktam called Atma Suktam. The Atma Suktam is the one, finally it says the same thing. The mind, the senses will have to merge with the mind. In the sense, they will be in the control of the mind. The mind will have to be in the control of the intellect. The intellect will have to be control of the soul. The same thing that explains the Atma Suktam. This we will see in detail next week, in the 1.3.4. With this, we will conclude today's session and go for the meditation. Sahana Vavatu, Sahanau Bunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvina Vadidamastuma Vishvidavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll go for the